Tonight, in the morning for Fernando. We are here today on Bitcoiners United, and Fernando is also known as the Bitcoin Libertarian. He lived for many years in Argentina, where he received his degree in economics, and he's an advocate of the Austrian School of Economics, educating on capitalism, free markets, the solution to all the problems we face in our fiat world. He appears to me to be the ultimate Bitcoin maximalist. His posts on X and his podcast, his newsletter, he's got media streaming everywhere, and it tenaciously warns people about the collapsing fiat system. It is a clarion call to all of us that anything that is not Bitcoin is a scam. His content flows constantly. He's got a Bitcoin community known as Crocs Road. Online, you can go to Crocs Road with an X, crocsroad.co. It's got a newsletter, a merch shop, the Crocs Road app you can download and stay in touch. Fernando, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me here. First of all, I want to apologize to you and to all your audience for having failed last time. I don't know which email I put to get the reminder, and now that X, and let's shout out to Elon, the message, you don't get the notification, and when you send me the notification, I didn't see. But yeah, now for this time, I set up the alarm on my phone, so yeah. I was ready that I was gonna be here.
I've got to set alarms for myself and reminders for myself. Maybe it's my age, but I have to I used to keep everything in my head, and then life gets busy and complicated. It was New Year's Day, and I kind of figured, you make plans, you try to send a reminder. You're on the other side of the planet, so you're on a different day than I am, but you are prolific. Whenever I go to your profile page, it seems like you are always streaming, like 24/7. You got rolling stuff. It is constant. You've built up a media empire of sorts that is just streaming. So you can always catch stuff going on your site. Where does all the energy come from?
Well, let's start from the beginning.
Okay.
I discovered Bitcoin down to 2011 when I was living in Argentina. In Argentina, we had a lot of capital control. It was very difficult. First of all, we are the world champions, not only on football, we are the world champions on inflation. So since we are kids, we are taught that we have to save in hard money and put it outside of the bank. When we are kids, we save in US dollars, and we put this, for example, I remember when I was a kid, I used to save in dollars and put inside books in my bookshelf at home. And I discovered Bitcoin that time because we didn't have any chance to send or receive money from outside Argentina. But it took me 10 years to understand what Bitcoin was really, because at the beginning I thought that it was a new PayPal, then I thought that it was some stock to trade. I did a lot of shit coining. I used to do trading in Bitcoin with this fiat mentality and to have more fiat, to use Bitcoin to have more fiat. Right. When I finally discovered that the goal is not to have more fiat, is to have less fiat and more Bitcoin. And in 2022, with my business partner, Diego, the other guy behind the Bitcoin Libertarian, our core business is digital marketing. So we were researching about newsletters as a way to drive more traffic and create more content. And we said, okay, let's talk which newsletter we can do. And at the beginning, we say, okay, if we are going to start a newsletter, let's start with something that we are interested and we really know about that. So we started, at that time, we were watching the podcast, My First Million, I don't know the name of the guy, I think it's Sampar and another guy, I don't remember the name. And they were talking about their experience by running a newsletter that was called Milk Road. The Milk Road, that they grew the newsletter in 6 months and they sold to HubSpot or I don't remember which platform. And I was following that newsletter, the Milk Road. The problem is that the Milk Road is a shitcoin newsletter. They talk about shitcoins. So right. we say with my business partner, we can do a newsletter, but talking about Bitcoin. And we put the name Crossroad because we are at a crossroads. I think that I always repeat the same. We're in the middle of the hyper-Bitcoinization, and for humanity now, it's either Bitcoin or extinction.
Yeah.
If Bitcoin win and we move to a Bitcoin standard, humanity is going to reach levels that we would never thought before.
A
But
golden age.
if we don't do that, we go to extinction in 200 years. So we started this at the same time we were exploring about YouTube, and 1 year after I started, I said, okay, what is the best way to start a YouTube channel and learn about YouTube? Let's do a podcast about Bitcoin connected with the newsletter. I started a podcasting once a week, was like funny. And in 2025, at the beginning, YouTube banned our channel. So
yeah, you got canceled at one point, which is like, okay, now what? How'd you recover from that? Yeah.
I got canceled, and at that time we start streaming on X. I used to start doing the podcast straight on X. I created another YouTube channel that later YouTube took it down. And we say, okay, what is the way if we can? At the beginning, we said, okay, what is? We discovered another page that they were streaming 24/7 the Bitcoin price, and I start streaming this because they were streaming on YouTube. I start streaming this on X, not 24/7 when the computer was on, and we discovered that we can drive traffic with that. So we have a small software company here. We mostly design software for us, for inside solutions and for some clients in the marketing side. And we decided to create a platform based on CNN and whatever, where we can do this, we can put our videos, and we can stream on YouTube. We made it really basic because we YouTube on X. We link the videos, the YouTube videos there, and we stream through another computer. It's not that we can stream straight, but anyways. So since then, we start streaming 24/7. Of course, what you see is not that I am awake 24/7.
Yeah, right. I wondered for a while. I would see you on now, and I'd see you on later. I'd be like, this guy never sleeps.
No, this is because I have to sleep, I have to eat, and I have to work. So the thing is that what we do is all the content that we have now in YouTube, we link to this platform that we created, and we stream 24/7. And sometimes when I do my podcast, we do the streaming. So I put the red dot and I put live or en vivo if I stream in Spanish. So that was the story how it was created. Again, YouTube took me down a couple of more channels, and since the last year, we split in English and in Spanish. So we created YouTube in English, a YouTube in Spanish, and another Twitter in Spanish, where I am supposed to be doing the 24/7 streaming also in the Twitter in Spanish, because my mother language is Spanish. Well, that's the full story.
Well, and being bilingual opens you up to a huge segment of the world. I mean, there are like 600 million something people, throughout the Western Hemisphere for sure, but like so many countries and continents that are fluent in Spanish. So you're reaching out, I can think of Argentina easily, but there are a lot of, I was in El Salvador a couple weeks ago, but there are a lot of countries down there and everywhere, but they've got bad money. And so there's the allure of shitcoinery or fiat, and they're trying to get out of their peso or whatever it is and accumulate something else or get a leg up, or they're used to hustling. And so they can fall into the fiat trap. And there are channels out there for Spanish speakers that are quite fiat or quite shitcoiny. So you're broadcasting to the Spanish speaking world, pure Bitcoin, and reaching a big market there.
Yes.
And focused on that lately, right? A lot of focus on the Spanish channel lately. I've seen you have guests and a lot of content there.
Yes, the thing is that last year, we were focusing initially in English because, as we started in English, the Twitter was started by my business partner, And as we were living in Asia for 10 years and mostly in Hong Kong, we were posting in English, and most of the traffic is in English. So we started the podcast in English language. The thing is that being bilingual helps you to understand, and especially living abroad, being an Argentinian living abroad and consuming a lot of content, because the content that I consume is mostly in English. I watch a lot of, now I'm focusing a few podcasts. I watch Pompliano, I watch Chuck Mollers, I watch some investing channels. Eventually, I check any podcast from Robin Sayer or other that are around, and it helps you understand what is happening in the English-speaking world and what is happening in the Spanish-speaking world. As you said, the Spanish-speaking community is around, I think that around 1 billion around the world. Spanish is the language, the most spoken language by native speakers. Even the biggest language spoken is Mandarin, Chinese Mandarin. But the truth is that the Mandarin is not the native language. In China, the different regions, they speak different dialects and they unify with the Chinese Mandarin. So what I discovered in my 10 years doing business in Asia and trying to connect with Latin America is that Spanish content or Spanish business, it has a delay of 5 years, of around 5 years. What is spoken in the English-speaking world usually takes 5 years arrive to the Spanish-speaking world. It happens, for example, I remember when I was watching in 2017 the Tai Lopez and all these gurus talking online. In 2022, 2023 was the hype of the same gurus, the Spanish version of
they moved down and they have a new market that people haven't heard of.
Not Tai Lopez, but there were the local Tai Lopez kind of gurus. So when I started studying, when I was studying that, okay, I'm not growing so fast as I want my YouTube channel. And the problem is that, of course, there is a lot of competition in the English-speaking world. Second, I am not native in English, so I would never, as much good content I can provide, I cannot compete with someone who is native in the language. And I start checking in the Spanish language, and there is a lack of content there. That because, as you said, we are suffering through a lot of inflation. Our currencies are super weak. Talking about Bitcoin, there are two types of content. You have the extreme maxis, the ones who speak in a very technical way, that they have hours talking about what is the best hardware wallet or what is the best method to keep your privacy. But they don't speak about how a normal person can get into Bitcoin, or the most important thing, why a person needs Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin, most of the people, the misconception is that Bitcoin is for millionaires or for geeks, or tech geeks, and Bitcoin is for everyone, especially for the poor people. And on the other side, the biggest channels that have, for example, half a million or million subscribers or 200K are channels that they talk about trading. Because, of course, for Latin American people, the time preference is different, for example, than a person in the United States. I don't know how is the situation now in the States, but here in Hong Kong, it's easy for a person probably save 500 to 100K, 100K, no, 1K or per month. So between, let's say, 300, 500, 1K per month is, I don't say easy, but if you say, okay, I want to save this, you can save. In Latin America, imagine that probably $500 is a salary.
Oh, yeah.
And it only helps to the people to make ends meet, to buy food and paying for the clothes and going to and pay for the rent. So for the people, it's really, really, really difficult to save money. And there are all these channels that talk about trading, then of course they talk about Bitcoin trading, blah, blah, blah. And it's all this hype created to the people. And of course, there is a lot of shitcoining because people don't understand that, okay, they say, okay, I lost Bitcoin. I cannot pay 95K or 90K for one coin. So I will better put, I don't know, $100 in this coin with a frog or whatever, or a dog.
Gamble with it, or maybe it'll moon, and
what they say is that when this coin that I can buy 1 million coins with $100,
there's a unit bias there.
When this coin reach 90K like Bitcoin, I will be billionaire. The problem is that they don't understand that the most probable case is that this coin goes to zero, not to Bitcoin. So seeing this lack of content, I started focusing more in the Latin American market, especially because the competition is lower, plus it's my mother language. So it's easier for me.
For you. And you're bridging the content from what's happening now, spoken in English most of the time. You can get it right to anywhere with the power of the internet to the Spanish-speaking countries like now. So
that's
they
the point.
Keep up.
That's the point. So what I do is I consume a lot of content in English, and I pick the ideas to speak in the Spanish market. Of course, for the Spanish, the most of the people is like, do you remember the Back to the Future movie when Marty McFly plays Johnny B. Good, and all the people was looking at what is he doing? So most of the things that I speak, probably people say, I say, okay, maybe you don't understand now, but in a couple of years
you'll understand later.
So that's my goal. My goal is to educate the people about Bitcoin. Because people in Latin America, most of the people don't understand the value of Bitcoin. They see Bitcoin as probably the same. They see Bitcoin as another crypto, as the same as Ethereum or Dogecoin or Solana or whatever they want to trade. And I want to put them on their heads that Bitcoin is the most valuable asset on the planet. Bitcoin is not to do a trade. Bitcoin is not to make fast money. It's for your retirement. It's for creating generational wealth. So that's my goal.
Yeah, and for people that desperately need to save for the future, or they have currency that's, getting debased, they may not know, like, well, what do I save in? For a lot of these countries, they'll look at stable coins as like, oh, well, I know what the dollar is. So stable coins are stable, and the dollar, so that seems better. But even that, I mean, the dollar's dying, is doomed. And so, if you can get these people on Bitcoin, they can go from, well, I got to save somehow, but like in what? And Bitcoin has solved the problem, everybody, for the world. So
yes, because the power of Bitcoin is that the people think this has the misconception that you have to buy one Bitcoin.
Right. So, bias too. Oh, it's expensive,
So my goal is to make people understand the power of DCA, the power of, okay, you are Latin American, you cannot save $500 per month. Okay, I understand you. I got the point. But you can save 10. You can say, okay, let's say instead of drinking, I don't know, 10 beers a month, 10 beers a month, 10 beers a month, I try to drink 7 and put this money on Bitcoin, or try to quit smoking. If you smoke, try to quit smoking. It's going to be better for your health. And you can trying to make the people understand that with doing some little change that will not affect their lives. It's not like, okay, you don't eat or you don't, no. And you can save 10, 20 US dollars. I made an example for, let's say, a person who started working in their 20s and they retire at 65. If they save 20 US dollars per month in Bitcoin during 40 years, when they retire, they will be really millionaire. Yeah. And not millionaire in number, millionaire in real terms. So that's the goal that I try to make people understand.
Yeah. Start early. I wish I'd learned a lot of these lessons when I was much younger And when it's hard when you're young too. I mean, you have a different time preference. You don't know all the things, or you don't trust authorities for good reason. So you meander, and you want to live a life, and you. But yeah, if I had started on some things earlier, kind of like if only I'd have found Bitcoin earlier. So part of your success, I know and imagine, because you see it online, is prolific, steady work. Like you can schedule posts, but you've got them going. You've got them going. In Onyx and elsewhere online, people are negative. People control. People. It's easy to like be black pilled or whatever. So people kind of like grind on X. What I've seen in your content is that you're very positive. You're encouraging. You post positive things. They may be very simple, but it resonates. People want to hear that. They need to hear that, because it's easy to be like, oh, well, this is how you're wrong, or oh, how maxi are you? You're very positive. That's what I love about you, is that you, and like what you're doing on your podcast, is helping people get a hand up instead of like criticizing stuff about like what could be wrong with details, because we largely agree about, the big picture, the Bitcoin. You are just very positive. Are you naturally pretty solution oriented and positive that way?
Yes, I yesterday I was listening. I don't remember who said that, but I try to be optimistic always, because I prefer to be optimistic and at the end being wrong than being pessimistic and at the end being right. So that's why, for example, now the narrative in Twitter, I think that everyone is so disappointed with Bitcoin. They are like tired. There is
What
a
a
very
bear market.
bad sentiment. And I'm super bullish. I'm talking about, guys, we need to think. I'm super bullish. And again, it's like, I try to be positive in all my aspects of the life, because life can be bad in many terms, can be, you have black times, you have bad times, but if being positive, it doesn't cost anything. So yeah, I try to, that's the thing. Of course, I am a little bit toxic with some things related to when they come, the guys from Purple Bitcoin, or when they come to people who post about the shitcoin or whatever. I am straight that you are a scammer, get lost, a scammer, piece of shit scammer. But when someone comes to Bitcoin, I'm not going to be judging if, let's say, if you bought and put the money in exchange or whatever, or no, if you don't run a node, you are not a Bitcoiner. Or if you don't have a cold wallet, you are not a Bitcoiner. No, I think that every person is a Bitcoiner since the moment when they decided to vote to Bitcoin. That is the moment that you pick up your fiat and you buy Bitcoin. Either you buy on an exchange, on a P2P, or whatever.
You get up zero. Yeah.
That's the point. When you get this first step into Bitcoin, no matter what, this is the start, the entry of the rabbit hole. Because another thing that I like saying is that what I try to do is pick up the people who are not into Bitcoin, bring them to the door of the rabbit hole, to the entry of the rabbit hole, and tell them why they need to enter. But the decision to enter and which road you take inside the rabbit hole is your decision, because the Bitcoin rabbit hole has multiple rabbit holes and multiple roads that I don't know all the roads. I am not technical. For example, I am not, when someone starts asking me questions about technical things, I say, okay, I'm not an expert on that. Probably you can go and check this podcast because they are really good talking about technical things. But again, I'm not toxic with the people who enters to Bitcoin. The other day, remember, I loved Sailor when he confronted the guy from What Bitcoin Did podcast.
I was going to ask you about that, if you saw that and what you think about Sailor, because I was like, well, so not to interrupt, but I was listening to that. And I'm just listening in the background, doing some other stuff. Next thing I know, Sailor's kind of like annoyed. And I'm like, that's interesting. And then later, 5-10 minutes later, he's still really annoyed or defensive. And I was like, what just happened? I don't understand what I had to go back and rewind, like what triggered that? So anyway, treasury companies, I feel like what Bitcoin did was he was asking some honest questions, but you could interpret it as kind of, being critical of that space. Anyway, go ahead.
No, the thing is that I do the same. I was thinking the same. I agree with Sailor because I don't get the point of the ultra maximalistic, the cyberpunks criticizing the treasury companies, because I understand the point. They have power because in the fiat world, we all play with different rules. The rules that Sailor has to play the game are much, much different than the rules that we have. And the rule that I have or we have, that we live in the first world countries and have access to finance, that are different for the people in Argentina or even the people in Africa. Mm-hmm. But on the Bitcoin world, we are all playing with the same rules. What Sailor is doing and with the treasury companies are doing is taking advantage of these rules that they can do, mm-hmm. and pick up fiat and turning into Bitcoin. And building instruments for the hyper-Bitcoinization. And in my opinion, because this is the difference on the maximalist, the cyberpunks of this romantic maximalistic is the same, that is the big portion that happened in Latin America. They think that the hyper-Bitcoinization will come through the circular economies, and the hyper-Bitcoinization will happen when you go to the supermarket and you pay with Satoshis. And in my opinion, this is going to happen sooner or later. But if we go through that way, hyper-Bitcoinization is going to take centuries. Mm-hmm. The real hyper-Bitcoinization will happen when everyone in the world uses Bitcoin without knowing that they are using Bitcoin. And this is the power that treasury companies have. This is the power that, for example, probably in the future, if Sailor can get their stretch and their different preferred offer, the preferred stocks, they can have like a rate in a rating agency where pension funds can invest in these instruments, and the governments can invest in these instruments. At the end of the day, it will trigger the hyper-Bitcoinization faster and will benefit all the people. Because imagine you I don't know if you work or whatever, but you work, but you are a Bitcoiner. Yeah. And your company, your friends of your job, they are not Bitcoiners. But of course, all of you have pension funds. Imagine if the pension fund can invest in Sailor's Sailor instrument, get up 11, 12% a year return, and your friends are not going to be Bitcoiners, but they will be using Bitcoin and they will getting the benefits from Bitcoin. So that's and Sailor the point of Sailor was, why was telling to the guy, why don't you criticize to the companies that they don't buy Bitcoin? Why you criticize the companies that buy Bitcoin? And on the other side, Bitcoin is permissionless. So of course, you can complain that Sailor is buying a lot of Bitcoin. Of course, I would love to have the money to buy 22,000 Bitcoin a week, but I don't have. But probably I have the money to buy, I don't know, a few sats, 1,000 sats, whatever. That's what I have to do. Because if I go and I buy 1,000 sats, 2,000 sats, 10,000 sats per week, the purchase that Sailor is doing are going to make my sats worth more. Not in terms of fiat, in terms of purchasing power, that at the end of the day is what happens. So I am a big supporter of the treasuries. I'm a big supporter of the institutional capital coming to Bitcoin, because they will boost the hyper-Bitcoinization. And if you don't like, you can go and buy Bitcoin by yourself. Nobody's stopping you. So, and again, I think I love the circular economies, because in my podcast in English, I'm now focusing in studying the African community.
Yeah.
and they are doing crazy stuff with Bitcoin. I love it because I come from South America, and we have a lot of problems. But if we have problems, African people have much more problems. And how they overcome these problems using Bitcoin is amazing. But again, I think that the hyper Bitcoinization will be faster with the institutional adoption and also the marketing. Of course, I can talk about Bitcoin, even the biggest podcasters, I don't know, BTC Sessions, Robert Breedlove can talk about Bitcoin, Lynn Alden, Natalie Brunel, but they don't have the impact that Saylor has. So having a guy like Saylor talking about Bitcoin and making people understand Bitcoin is amazing. So we don't have to fight them.
It brings to mind so many things, because even as I'm a core Bitcoin to my Bitcoin based all the way, and I will only hold Bitcoin, and I don't play games and anything. I don't, I like could just say I'm an 80 IQ pleb, and I also know and understand and believe Bitcoin, and I don't want to play games or take on risk or leverage myself or wonder where the yield came from or whatever. But what Saylor is doing, it was inevitable anyway that if Bitcoin's going to win and survive, TradFi and the legacy system is going to have to grapple with it. And if they want to win, interface with it some way, somehow. Saylor is driving a spear into the heart of the traditional system and turning it on its head and just getting this flywheel built up that you can't ignore. And so, yes, you could say aspects of fiat are ultimately just, it's doomed. The dollar, I don't know. But Bitcoin can grow its roots into the system, and as you know, basically start to heal a cancer, and it could, now down the road, it starts to change incentives and how you do business, and you can't just, lie and cheat and steal. You got to play by the rules of a new game. So I think it starts to fix that system. And then maybe the whole system, people may still think and talk in terms of like values of dollars and stuff, but behind the scenes, the mechanisms at work may very well be a Bitcoin world. And then long term down the road, it may be that, everything is Bitcoin. So.
No, that's the point. I think that what he's doing, I think that Saylor's playbook is really clear. I don't know if you have ever seen the distribution of wealth, that approximately we have like the world is 900 trillion on wealth, like 300 trillion is on real estate. The other 300 trillion is in fixed income instruments. Then you have like 100 trillion in stocks and 30 trillion in gold, and Bitcoin is just below 2 trillion on market cap. Saylor, what is doing is trying to create instruments to target this 300 trillion of fixed income instruments that are institutional bonds, corporate bonds of crap, and all the things that these agencies put AAA because they get money. So that's the goal. If Saylor can capture, let's say, 10%, Saylor and all the treasuries, right, can capture 10% of this 30 trillion in, let's say, 5 years. Imagine Bitcoin market cap will go to 30 trillion.
And the equation on the Bitcoin price is not a straight piece of math. In terms of supply and demand, if there's that kind of money trying to get the last million Bitcoin, the when you're talking number go up, it breaks all models.
Yes, and it's not counting. I am not counting the money printing. So I just counting capture capital that is in an instrument and needs to be rotated to another instrument. So imagine what if this can happen in the next 5 years. 30 trillion go to the market cap of Bitcoin go to 30 trillion. Do the math. Now we are in, let's say, 2 to get is 15 times more. Multiply 15 plus, it's like, I don't know, it's like, let me do the math, but 90K 50. Yes, it's like 1.5 million, I think. So imagine this, and imagine if when they see that this is working, that they are getting better returns than the crap US bonds or whatever, they will go and, okay, we are going to put more. And this 30 trillion probably in the next 5 years turns 100 trillion. Imagine the price of Bitcoin. And again, I am not counting the money debasement. I am counting investment that are allocated and needs to turn. Imagine adding the money debasement, the money printing. So
yeah, and in my line of work, I work adjacent to people that do finance stuff. So say like the head of finance for a large public entity. And I would say 3 years ago, he was kind of like, I really don't understand it, but I mean, it's certainly a scam. And then about 2 years ago, he's like, yeah, no, I've looked into it. It's just a lot of scam, and it's too risky, very, very risky. And a year ago, he's like, I've heard things about it, but I just don't think we can do it, like legally. I think there were legal reasons why he didn't think we could do it. And then this year, it's moved towards, it's interesting. We have to look into it. It's like a maybe. It's almost a maybe. So that, I mean, it's taken some years, but we're talking people that are in charge of things like, where do we put money for pension funds? Where do we save treasuries for a large entity? It's moved, and now it's taken years, but it's moved from, oh, you could buy tulip bulbs and beanie babies and lottery tickets. But yeah, right. It's shifted to, it's hard to ignore the performance and that it appears to work, and that we didn't want to be first, but maybe we don't want to be last. And then that's when you get more and more entities all kind of like, oh, it's like safe now, or, oh, that's how you do it, or, oh, it's got an ETF. Like I don't do ETFs, but with an ETF, a lot of people now can and will. And so it starts to suck it all up.
That's the other point. With the ETF, it allows to people, because every say, oh, why do you buy the ETF? Because you can buy the Bitcoin spot. Of course, I will not buy the ETF. Of course, I'm not going to buy an ETF. Of course, I will buy Bitcoin and put in cold storage, because I understand and I can do. But imagine a company that cannot buy Bitcoin. For example, my company in Hong Kong cannot buy Bitcoin. We can, but we cannot put in the balance sheet. But I can buy strategy. I can buy ETF as a company. So it allows a lot of capital that otherwise would have gone to gold, bonds, or whatever crap is in the market, to an instrument that you know that will be turned into Bitcoin immediately. So I don't know why all the people many Maxis are hating Saylor and the corporate finance. Of course, I am not going to buy ETF. I don't suggest people to buy ETF, or if you want to buy an ETF, probably a person, I have the example of a friend of mine. He's a 60-plus-year-old guy. He's super wealthy. And he asked me about Bitcoin. And of course, I tried to explain. I'm not going to explain him how to do cold storage, because he's not going to understand.
Overwhelm him with too much. He's like, well, exactly. That's too complicated.
So what I explained him, okay, you want to have exposure to Bitcoin, buy the IBIT, buy IBIT. On the other point, if I have to speak to explain point by point what is Bitcoin, why the self-custody, all the stuff, he would never have put money into Bitcoin. He put through ETF. Of course, he doesn't have Bitcoin. There are a lot of risk of having an ETF, but this money was sent to Bitcoin. Whatever BlackRock do is on Bitcoin. So it allows a lot of people and institutions that would never have put money on Bitcoin invest in Bitcoin. So
yeah, I helped a guy get off zero simply because for him, trying to explain how to like, you know, even just going to an exchange and then putting it where, and oh, I could take self custody and all that stuff. He's like, well, but can my broker buy it? And I'm like, well, like yes, Charles Schwab can now get their BlackRock ETF, and so he got off zero. And at first, I was kind of cringe, like, oh, you didn't actually buy Bitcoin. But then I kind of got over that because he wasn't going to buy Bitcoin unless he could buy the ETF, which at his age and close to retirement and all that, that's what he was comfortable with. And what that does is, yeah, he's got skin on the game. He's in on Bitcoin. He's got the counterparty risk and the permissioned path, but it's planting another seed. And people got to start somewhere. So it's like, well, you got them to the open door of the rabbit hole. And once they start stepping through and it starts to percolate in their mind, if they're, healthy enough to keep walking, eventually they will keep walking that path and ask more questions. But I would rather have more people in on Bitcoin than to have a few, but they did it all just the right way, the way I do it.
Because at the end of the day, we need to think about massive adoption. And I think that only 4% of the world population has Bitcoin or some exposure to Bitcoin, something like that.
Sounds right.
The next wave of adoption, you cannot expect that, let's say, if we go to 50%, you cannot expect that this 45% extra will all become maxis like us.
Right.
Because they don't care. I care because it's not about my savings. For me, Bitcoin is a battle worth fighting for the future of humanity. I am not thinking of myself. I'm thinking of the future of humanity. But most of the people don't give a crap, don't care. They just want to have their money safe and their pensions safe. And when they retire, they want to have a good life after retirement. So they won't become a maxi. But imagine that we can onboard 90% people of the world to use Bitcoin in some way. Like, for example, in ETF. Let's say 90% of the people have Bitcoin ETF. Most of these people won't give a crap about Bitcoin. But let's say probably 10%, 15% are going to say, okay, I put this money on this ETF IBIT. What does it have? Bitcoin. What the fuck is Bitcoin? I go to Google, I go to ChatGPT, whatever. I listen to podcasts. Probably 15% of these people become maxi and say, oh, okay, I thought I had Bitcoin, but I don't have Bitcoin. So now I will buy the real Bitcoin and I will own my keys. So this is the process. I compare with the people who like cars. For example, I love cars. I love driving, but I don't understand what is happening inside the car.
You're not mechanics.
Mechanics. Some of my friends in Argentina, they used to, because this car is this. I don't give a crap what is happening inside. I like the car that looks beautiful. I like driving. I like to have an experience driving, but I don't care what the car has inside. So I think that this is the way if we want to unspill people by teaching them, hold your keys, put in self-storage, and it's only Bitcoin on chain, whatever, it's not going to be done, the hyper-Bitcoinization.
You'll lose people. Yeah. And I mean, like everyone uses money. A lot of people, will utilize a bank, but they don't know how the bank works. They don't want to know how the bank works. They just want it to work. And Bitcoin fixes all that behind the scenes, even as people may still, use their trusted counterparty. And that's the nature of people, not everyone, like I'm really into this thing, but I don't need everyone to have gone to school to study that. I just need them to not be against it if it's the true path. So now when you went to school, you probably studied Keynesian economics. Was that a lot of it? You learn all the Keynesian stuff, you come out, so you you think you're educated, so you think you know. And then when you see governments play their games or money break, and you're like, huh, it flipped for you at some point from Keynesian to Austrian, or when did you
No,
go
no.
Austrian?
No, the funny thing is that, well, I started studying engineering because I love mathematics and physics and all the science related stuff. I'm a huge space geek. I love the last week I was watching the rocket going to the launch station. I'm so excited because the moon travel is just 2 weeks away from now. It's a great time to be alive. We have moon traveling, we have Bitcoin, we have AI. So, but
we're in an amazing point in human history. Like I sometimes I stop and I can't believe that I'm living in an age now where, when I was a kid, we went from the beginnings of just barely computers that you could actually like code, all the way now to the, I saw the internet come. I've seen the internet grow, and now AI and space and all these things, and it's like, what a time to be alive.
Yes, so I was studying engineering, but then when I started studying some subjects related to engineering, I just like the basic mathematics, physics, chemistry, statistics. And at that time was around 2005, something like that. I was doing my first investments on the stock market. I remember I used to read this book that talk about technical analysis and all this crap that I then I unlearned. I said, okay, I will study economics. At that time, I didn't have any clue about what was Keynesian, what was Austrian economic, whatever. I had some idea because my grandfather was anarchist, and he used to teach me a lot about anarchists. And I was always against the governments, against the state. I grew up thinking that the state is your enemy. I remember in Argentina, we have a subject during the high school that they teach you how the government works. And I remember I was 13 years old, and the teacher was teaching us how the laws were created. And they say, yeah, a law goes to the Congress, and the Congress propose what to do. And I say, wait, so the laws are decided by 200 people in this building, and they decide what do I have to do? No, this shit is not good. This is not good. And then I came up with the anarchist stuff and the thing. But what I didn't like from the anarchist is that I read a lot about the left anarchists, the people that were more related to the unions and the communists and all the stuff, and I didn't like that. So that time I didn't like. So I started studying economics, and I remember the first lesson. I was on the subject, the basic economic, the economics, and the teacher started teaching how did the fractional reserve work. So she said, okay, when you come to the bank, you deposit 100, then the bank put 10 in the central bank, then lend 90, then the person comes with the 90, the bank puts 9 in the central bank. And I say, so if you deposit 10, the bank can lend 1,000. And if you deposit 100, the bank can lend 1,000. Say, excuse me? From where this 1,000 came?
Yeah.
The bank created. How did create it? Out of where? How do they print it? No, because, and since then I said, this is all a joke.
Yeah.
I started, at that time I think it was 2007, and I started going to internet, and I came up with the Austrian School of Economics because I was also studying, we have also a subject that talk about the story of economics, and they mentioned the Austrian school like, oh, these crazy guys that think about these crazy theories of the value or whatever. And I remember I started reading, I read papers online and about, of course, from Mises, Hayek, but I end up in the rabbit hole with Murray Rothbard. And that day, I say, oh, this guy is thinking the same that I think, that the state is your enemy, but in a capitalist way. So I discovered the anarcho-capitalist that day and say, oh, this is amazing. So since then, I keep on the university just to make fun, to have friends, studying, and to make happy my mom that I was going to have a degree. But at the same time, they were teaching me a lot of this Keynesian crap. And
so even as you're learning, you're seeing it for what it is and going,
of course, they were teaching me about Keynesian. I was saying, okay, yeah, this is a crap. This is a scam.
Yeah.
And Bitcoin was not even created yet. So I always say that I was orange pilled by Murray Rothbard before even Bitcoin existed. So I was at the university and they were teaching about the Keynesian multiplier. I said, oh, okay, so this is crap. This is black magic. So Keynesianism is the biggest scam of economics, because they try to make you listen what you want to listen. Oh, the government is gonna help you, social justice. But with this happen, it's like the government is putting money in your pocket and stealing from the other. So this is Keynesianism. And at the end of the day, the only people who benefit from Keynesianism, are the ultra rich, are the government, and probably the lazy people who they receive a check for doing nothing. But the people who work, the people who put effort, they are ripped off of their money and their time. So I hate Keynesianism. And when I finally understood Bitcoin, I say, oh, this is the last piece of the puzzle for Austrian economists and anarcho-capitalism. So all it makes sense at that point with Bitcoin.
Yeah, and I say Keynesian. I think, I don't know, it's John Maynard Keynes. So I'll say Keynesian economics. It's like capital controls, interest rates. The government's job is to print money or theoretically contract it, but they drive the economy with their own incentives. And so not only is Keynesianism bad, but when you've got a corrupt government or people at the top making their money, and the Cantillon effect, where the people are making money down the hill with the interest rates go up and up and up and up. And they're making money off this. And, oh, we're out of money. We can't wage a war. We can't do our thing. We can't pay off our buddies. We can't, force everyone to do whatever. We're broke. We're just broke. Well, print more money.
Yes, that's something that, for example, there are economists that they are Keynesian, and of course they say, I do agree with some points of the left and the Keynesian and the progressive, that I do agree that the wealth is very bad distributed, that we have a lot of inequality in the world, and we have to fight against that. But their solution to the problem is adding more problem, because their solution is more taxes, printing more money, more state, more government intervention, when the solution is totally the opposite. The solution is fix the money. Yeah. Fix the money, fix the world. The problem of all this inequality, that the gap between rich and poor, is because fiat money. If we move to a money standard where you cannot cheat like Bitcoin, everything is gonna be more equal, more well distributed. So that's the point. The problem is not the system. The problem is not the capitalism. The problem is the money. The problem is fiat money that is pushed by Keynesianism. So
I feel like I can say that every day, all the time, when people talk about anything or everything, the cost of things or the nature of retirement or the good old days. And it's just like, oh my gosh, it's always the money. And I just, I feel like, would you say that you're more of an anarcho-capitalist or a libertarian, or do you fit in a bucket?
The thing is that I like to say the same that our president Javier Milei says. Philosophically talking, speaking, I am an anarcho-capitalist for sure. I don't want to have government, and I think that at the end of the day we are gonna reach this level. But in the short term, I am a minarchist. Like I want the state to be reduced to the minimum expression.
Yeah.
Just like justice, security, and no more. So the government does not have to interfere in the education, in the health, doesn't have to interfere in the money. Just protect you from external attacks and from internal attack to protect the private property, but not more, because everything that the government touches, it destroyed. It's like the inverse Midas touch. I think that the Midas touch is that everything that touch becoming gold. No, everything the government touch, it gets destroyed. So
yeah, it's a shit coin.
We cannot go to anarcho-capitalism immediately. We need Bitcoin for more time. But I am not this crazy person. Oh, we need to destroy everything. No.
Smash the state. Yeah.
We need to go gradually towards anarcho-capitalism. I think that I like this idea of the future of Bitcoin bringing the citadels or the small states living on a Bitcoin standard and trading. But I think that for this, it is going to take probably 1 century. I'm not going to see that. But in the short term, I like the state get reduced to the minimum. So, and then disappear.
Yeah. And when taxes, when all the taxes they can collect seems to maybe barely just cover the interest they owe on debt, then you start getting, and people are starting to see that, like, you know, if they look at any basic pie chart math on tax collection and then the government debt and the interest, and it's like all of these taxes they collect goes to pay off what? Interest on just legacy debt. How broken is that? And so then it's doomed to failure, you could say. I guess I could see two paths. One, the golden hopeful path is that Bitcoin entangles itself steadily into the system and realigns the system and steadily, ultimately fixes the system. And it's not a big collapse. The alternative is that fiat has some major collapses, and then maybe Bitcoiners are doing great, but a lot of people suffer. So and a buddy of mine, he wrote a book on this, but it's called The Great Realignment. But basically, Bitcoin steadily healing the cancer. It's like an inoculation that is now working its way through our body and into the organs, and organs are starting to heal. And for a lot of people, they'll just notice that things are just starting to get better, but they don't know why. They're not thinking, oh yeah, Bitcoin fixed that. They're just going to notice a system that is realigning slowly to be better.
I think I try to be optimistic on that, but I remember when the big crisis happened in Argentina, the system was not changed in a soft way. So I try to think more like in the book. I don't know if you wrote the book, the Larry Lepard, The Big Print.
Yeah, The Big Print.
I think that we are in a turning point now, in a break point. We are in a place that in the next 5 years is gonna be crazy, because with AI and the governments need to spend more money, print more money, and in fact, the taxes are a manipulation tool that the governments have, because the money they get from taxes, they don't even pay the interest of the debt. So and less they can pay the government functioning. So I am not so optimistic on that point. I think that we are going to suffer from a huge collapse in the next years. That's why I'm trying to, no financial advice, but I'm trying to people say, okay, go and study Bitcoin, because what is going to happen is huge. We are seeing the collapse of the fiat system in live. It's like when I sit down to watch the football, the World Cup, it's the same. Every time I open Twitter or whatever, I see the collapse of fiat system.
Yeah.
It's being streamlined. So
Everywhere.
and all this craziness of Trump, Venezuela, Greenland, or whatever, or Iran, or whatever crap. And we are seeing the collapse of the fiat system. That, of course, is going to be painful for many people, especially if you don't have Bitcoin. But at the end of the day, this collapse is not going to be as long as it's not going to last so long, like, for example, in the previous crisis. Why? There is a book from Brian Deming called Parallel. The book says that for first time in human history, of course, the collapse of empires, of civilizations, happened through all the human history. The problem was that each collapse was followed by a time where there was chaos to try to find a way to create a new system. For first time in history, now we have a parallel system that is running.
We have a system ready to go.
That we are running, ready to go. It's like, okay, you have the Artemis going to the moon. If the rocket fails, you have the other rocket to be launched tomorrow. So the thing is that now we have this system collapsing, but we have the parallel system being in place since 17 years non-stop. So the responsibility that Bitcoiners will have after the collapse, we are gonna be the guys who rebuild the civilization. And but yes, that's what I think.
Hope. It's like, I imagine the Titanic is sinking, and it's not like it just went, oh, yep, now it just crashed. It's like it sinks, and it sinks a little more, and it sinks a little more, and it sinks a little more. And so it's like, hey, are you paying attention? It's like, we have the time right now to figure it out. And with Bitcoin, there are enough life rafts. There are life rafts right there. You just got to step on one.
That's the point. The point is that now we are not even sinking. We are seeing the iceberg, and we are telling the people, the iceberg is coming. Let's go to the boats. Let's find a boat. And some people don't care. They are busy watching people dancing on TikTok or cooking food on Instagram. So, but of course, when the iceberg impacts the ships, everyone are gonna feel it. We are gonna be on the boats, and we are gonna have huge boats. Our responsibility as Bitcoiners is that we need to be there when the Titanic sinks, saving as many people as possible, not telling them, oh, I told you so, because I like to be toxic. I have a t-shirt saying, I told you so, because I like to remind, because a lot of people told me on this journey, but Bitcoin is a scam, you are crazy, you're going to go to jail, it's a scam, it's for criminals. And every time Bitcoin goes mainstream, I put this, I told you so. But in the moment of the Titanic sinking, we don't have to be toxic. We have to be the guys, we have to be humble, and we have to we are all Satoshi. And we have to think the way that Satoshi thought when he or she or whatever create Bitcoin, and left away and say, okay, I give you the salvation. So in that time, we the Bitcoiners, we are going to have the responsibility to rebuild the society. And at that point, we must not be toxic. Of course, there will be people that will have to pay for all this crap, because it's written on the Genesis block. The Genesis block is the biggest political pamphlet of the history of humanity. When you read the Genesis block, it says, what I read is Satoshi saying, okay, we are going to pay you your party again. We are not guilty, but we are going to pay again because you are going to save the banks again. But the next time, it's not going to be the same. The next time, we are going to save, the people who we want to save.
Yeah.
And the bankers and all these scammers from the Fed, from the central banks, from the UE, they are going to go to the bottom of the ocean, and we are going to rebuild a better society. That's my point.
I love it, and I think people can feel like, well, the Titanic is sinking now because you see all the fraud and the waste and the abuse and and then it's like, why am I paying taxes and all these things? But you feel like they're in the future. We have not yet had an event that is the real trigger event. I mean, you've seen it before, where with your background and stuff. In America, we can kind of gripe and moan about all the bad things, even as we still kind of have it okay, but it's not a real event yet to come. I mean, it's still coming.
Yes, I think it's coming, and it's going to happen fast. But again, we are seeing something. I think what is happening with gold, what is happening with silver, what is happening with copper, with all the metals, they are the canary in the coal mine. So they are showing that something is happening. And then the collapse will come, and Bitcoin will be the last hope. So that's why we need, of course, this event happen when Bitcoin is more adopted and we have the bigger Bitcoinization, it's going to be less painful. But if it happens now, it's going to be very painful.
Not as many people are ready. There's a quote that I heard you say, and I don't know if you wrote this or repeated it, but you said, socialists are the worst planners because they don't understand the economy. But Keynesians are worse because they do understand the economy and they use it to scam you.
I think that I don't know if I wrote this quote, but yeah, I think that I wrote that, but I read a quote and I adapted to economics, because again, socialists, they don't even know what is happening, but Keynesians, they know.
They should know better.
The people who the PhDs that works on the Fed, they know how the system works.
Yeah.
Christine Lagarde, she knows, she's not stupid, but they are con artists. It's like the people who sell you a shitcoin. It's like the same. They are selling you a shitcoin. They know they are gonna rug pull you. So
yeah, ultimately it's all a rug pull. It's a steady rug pull. 2%, 3%, 10% inflation is good. Actually, it drives the economy. We need inflation. It inspires people to buy stuff that they don't need. It's good. It's like, wait a sec, Jeff Booth. I heard a great talk where he was saying how like the natural order of things should be that things are naturally deflationary.
Of course.
I mean, you think about how much our jobs have changed, the capability we have, how productive a single person can be now with computers, with the internet, with just best practices nowadays. We are so productive, and yet in terms of value for value, our time and our energy and our thought processes, our technology, we've been so debased. I mean, you'd think we'd all be like doing really, really well. Well, it's been sifted off the top from, it's like, oh, we're doing so much better. We print more money and we keep that inflation going.
Yes, the thing is that what technology makes economy, the technology makes deflation. And let me put again the example of the moon. In 1969, Apollo 11 took people to the moon, whatever, if you believe on that or not, but I believe humans walk on the moon. But the computer of this rocket was, I don't know, 1 million times worse than the iPhone that we use every day.
Right.
We carry in our pocket a computer that has 20 million more power of the computer that took people to the moon. And of course, it cost a lot less. Why? Because of the technological advance. How come things go up? How come the food go up? How come anything go up? this is because of the fiat money. This is because of the Keynesian scam that they have to do this inflation target 3% per year to keep running their Ponzi scheme. These are the Keynesian, they steal you 3% of the money per year because it's the tax you pay for having money. So in the future, if we adopt the Bitcoin standard, we are gonna go to the total abundance because Bitcoin will create incentives to produce more energy and a cheaper price. It's what happened now. The mining companies, they go to places where the energy otherwise is lost. They go to places in Africa and they give energy to the people because otherwise, if was not because of Bitcoin, they could not run a power plant there. So I think that the energy is at the end of the day, the energy is the currency of the humanity.
I love, and Sailor helped orange pill me way back, I guess, years ago. I was listening to his Sailor series and he would go into, like your background, the engineering brain around how does Bitcoin work? What does it mean? And the storage of energy, the thermodynamic laws behind Bitcoin and energy. And that's what also helped convince me understand like fundamental rules about it. And this wasn't some game. This wasn't some, thing that like people could like, oh, well, let's just recode this and soft fork that, hard fork this and do this and that. And it was like, no, I understand this protocol, how it works. And it's like a law of thermodynamics. Now, how are you on time? We're over an hour, but I don't want to like, I want to be respectful of your time. Are you good?
It's okay. I'm okay.
If you run out of time, let me know. But I had questions because now, so from your perspective in Argentina, was there a breaking point for you where you're like, I need to move? And you went to Thailand, you went to Hong Kong. What triggered that move? And then two, being in Hong Kong now, what's your perspective of your life now compared to reasons why you left? And how's it going over there?
Well, next month is going to be 10 years since I left Argentina. And to be honest, my only drive to leave my country was like a personal development. No, I was not bad in Argentina. I had my job. I had everything. I was living a good life, but I left because I want to be outside the comfort zone. I think that you grow when you are outside your comfort zone. And by that time, my business partner, the other guy who is behind the Bitcoin Libertarian, he was living in Thailand. We were doing internet marketing at that time, and we were doing just nomadic style. And we decided to, okay, let's do something more serious, a company, let's run a company, whatever. He was in Thailand, and okay, I moved to Thailand. So cool. That's the thing. And then we decided to move to Hong Kong because Hong Kong is much better to run business than Thailand.
The financial hub, that's for sure.
That's the point. And compared with Argentina, in some aspects, I am better because in Argentina, we have a lot of, now it's going down, but we have a lot of crime. Here in Hong Kong, I walk safe in the night, no matter if now I'm at home, but usually I am in my office where we have our kind of podcast studio. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I do podcasts until 12 a.m. and I come from there to my house and I have to travel in the public transportation with my computer, with everything, and nothing happens. It's super safe. This is the only advantage. But also, I love this. I think that when you are out of your country, you learn a lot. You learn a lot from all other cultures around the world. Many people ask me, "Oh, you miss Argentina? You miss eating meat?" To be honest, no. I'm a special person. I don't miss. I have this. I try to enjoy the moment, and when I'm in Argentina, I enjoy Argentina. When I'm in Hong Kong, I enjoy here. And it's a way, when you live abroad, you experience a lot of cultural backgrounds, especially when you live in Asia, that is totally the opposite. And you know people and you know realities. And you understand that all the preconcepts that you have that also I think that everyone has from their country. When you live in Argentina, you think that what you do is the best in the world, your food is the best in the world, your habits are the best in the world. And I think that for you, an American, is the same. And when you live abroad, you discover other things that it's not that yours is the best in the world or here the food is the best in the world. It's different. And in the difference, it comes a lot of enjoyment and a lot of understanding, a lot of growing, and a lot of learning. So that's the way. I didn't leave Argentina like a person in Venezuela that has to leave because of the dictatorship, or a person in Iran or in Cuba.
Okay.
I just left because I wanted to be outside my comfort zone and to grow. And I think that in these 10 years, I learned a lot of life about me, about the world, than in my 35 previous years in this world. So
and
that's
you're loving Hong Kong, and so being there for 10 years now, I mean, you could get your permanent resident
yes.
card?
No, I've been in Hong Kong. I've been 4 years in Thailand and now 6 years in Hong Kong.
Okay.
By the end of this year, I will be able to ask for the PR. That is the goal. So that's amazing.
You would stay, yeah.
Yeah, my goal is to stay in Hong Kong. I don't have family yet, but I would love to stay here and start a family here.
Cool.
But yes.
So thinking of Argentina, and of course there's Javier Milei, and he ran on a rebellious platform to fix a lot of stuff, and he had an uphill battle, and was facing the banks and the politicians and all kinds of everything. I believe he's very principled. He's very educated. I've heard interviews with him where he. Oh, there you go. La fuera.
With a chainsaw.
Yeah. Viva la fuera. And so he has studied, like he understands Austrian economics. And then, of course, he got in, and people expect the world and they want it now, all the things. He did get kind of scammed, right, on Libra coin or whatever it was. So, and that tells you that in terms of a rabbit hole, you can understand a lot of things and then still maybe not really understand Bitcoin. Where do you think he's at now with all that?
Of course. Well, the Austrian, in fact, today I will release a podcast in Spanish, in my Spanish channel, with an Spanish economist that he made his PhD thesis on Bitcoin. And we were discussing, he's an anarcho-capitalist, he's supporter of the Austrian School of Economics, and we were discussing about that. The problem is that the people from the Austrian School of Economics, there are not Austrian economists that talk about Bitcoin besides Safedin or others, because the Austrian School of Economics, they are all gold bugs. And because for them, the money is the gold. So It's like what happens with Peter Schiff. I respect him. He's funny. Yeah. And at the end of the day, I think that he's trolling.
I know he owns Bitcoin.
Of course, but he's a troll, and I respect him because in the age of Peter Schiff, of course, the money, the hard money was the gold, and I respect gold has been here for 5,000 years, but we have a better solution. And most of the Austrian economics, they don't understand Bitcoin because they cannot understand the monetary. I was discussing the other day with a guy that was telling me that the halving is not a monetary policy. And I say, yes, the halving is the monetary policy of Bitcoin. And they don't understand about that. So, what he did with Libra, I think he made a mistake. He thought that he puts on the same bag everything. Bitcoin, Ethereum. In fact, in a news broadcast much years ago, before he even was thinking about running for president, he said Bitcoin is the natural reaction to the central bank scam. But then after that, they say they compete. You have Bitcoin, you have Ethereum. They compete. And I say, no, dude, you have Bitcoin and all the rest are a scam. So he doesn't understand. I know that for Argentinian people that I spoke, that they are trying to explain him Bitcoin, but now he has much bigger problems in Argentina than Bitcoin. But yeah, what he did with Libra for me was a big disappointment, because what he did is like something stupid, because I don't know, I am sure that he didn't do it on purpose. He just posted to help the country, but not understanding what is a shitcoin. I have if I show you my message on X, I have 10 or 15 guys sending me message. Oh, can you promote my coin? Can you promote my project? And I said, dude, it's a scam. I only Bitcoin. But yeah, it takes time to understand what Bitcoin is. But yeah, I'm a huge supporter of Milei. He's doing a great job in Argentina. I've been in Argentina in 2022 when there was the previous president that was a disaster. Like, I remember went to buy something in a shop, and the following week was 25% more. When I went last year, in 2024, I was surprised because I love coffee, and I used to go to a coffee shop every morning to drink a coffee. And in the 15 days I was there drinking coffee, the price didn't change. So that was a good signal. And last year, I've been in November 2025 because I went to speak to a Bitcoin conference in Argentina. I saw the country much, much better. So he's doing a great job.
So things are getting better. But you mentioned struggles lately, and I haven't been following it, but what's Argentina struggling with now?
The problem is that you have the other rivals, that they don't want to lose their status quo. They don't want to lose their privilege. So they are fighting against him. And they are doing a very dirty fight. And remember, when Milei took office, he has, I think, that 1/3 of the House. Now he has half of the House, so he can do more things. He won the middle terms because they are also spreading the opposition in Argentina. When they are not in the power, they try to destabilize, generate crisis, and destroy and make the president resign. So he's trying to fight against them. He's trying to keep building his power, but that's why he has bigger problems now than probably. Let's see if in 2027 he wins the re-election. What he's gonna do in his second term? But at the end of the day, he's doing a great job. I heard that now he's doing he understands where the worlds go. He's focusing a lot on energy production. He's focusing a lot on AI. So when I was traveling to Argentina last year, and next to me in the plane was a guy that was coming back from China, and he was explaining me. I was asking him, "Is it true what they talk about the oil in the Patagonia and the stuff?" He said, "This is true. In probably 3-4 more years, they're gonna be dollars. They will rain dollars in Argentina." So I think that he's trying to point the objectives there, but he reduced the inflation. He reduced poverty. The US dollar is at the same rate for years, so he's doing a great job. And I hope he can win the re-election and get more people inside the house, so his laws and his reforms are better. So, and he's reducing the state, so that's amazing.
Yeah, reducing it where it needs to be, but develop the nation and the economy. Focus on the economy. Keep that dollar or the currency strong. So then, juxtaposed to Venezuela, like if you listen to Jack Mallers, I mean Jack Mallers had theories about that as well. There's a lot of geopolitical stuff going on there. So, Venezuela being north of there, what do you think is going to happen there? Or what's your opinion on what's going on there?
Well, I think that there is a good. I agree with Trump taking out this dictator Maduro, and I agree what they are doing now, because most of the people are complaining. You should took out Maduro and left all the regime there. The thing is that now the regime needs to contribute with the United States. They are not going to do whatever they want, because if they do, they know what can happen to them, and their price is less price than Maduro. So probably they will end up like Bin Laden. So they have to do their job. So I think that at the end of the day, I think that it's okay what is happening in Venezuela, but I think that the United States needs to guide the process. Now needs to do supervise the Venezuelan government. But when things are better, probably in a couple of years, I think that the United States needs to respect Venezuelan people and let them elect their own politicians in free elections, and hope with the Maduro Chavez dictatorship over, and with Maduro paying for all the crap he did on prison for years. I don't want the death penalty for him. In fact, I'm not a fan of death penalty, because you are not. Because I think that you pay more when you are trapped forever, when you are in life in prison, than when you are dead. So I think that, because one of the biggest assets that we have as human is freedom. So if you don't have freedom and you wake up every day and you are not free, this is a good price you have to pay for being a bad person.
So he's earned some justice in that regard.
Of course.
And it seems like, so whether it was drug cartels or gangs or whatever, they were largely in charge. So overtly you could say, okay, shut down the gangs, shut down the drugs. There's oil there. Okay, that's attractive. I've heard other things about, the rare earth minerals, or the fact that China was in there, and China has interests in countries to, strategically, you could say the U.S. So here's a bad dictatorship, and the U.S. would rather pop it than to have another country, say like China, manage it and benefit from it, or destabilize the U.S. There could be large political things at play.
Yeah, the problem is, I also think about that, because I think that during Biden administration, United States lost their position in the Americas, in the hemisphere, and China went there. So I think that now it's more like a geopolitical reorganization. Like, okay, United States is going to have the control of this part of the world. You, China, have the control of that part of the world. Probably whatever you can do in Taiwan, United States is not going to say anything. And Russia has the control of the other part of the world. I think that this is the way. I think that this is also a message that America don't want China in America. Mm-hmm. And let's see how it evolves.
So being in Hong Kong, do you have concerns ever about the Chinese government, the party? There were protests in Hong Kong some years ago, like strong revolts and fighting against, China was starting to move in and set controls and rules and enforce things. And people were like, no, we're used to being free. What do you think about being in a country or a place where basically China could call shots?
China is a very interesting place. I think that there is a huge misconception on the West about China. I think that China, they are building their own, they are focusing growing as a country and keeping improving and being the factory of the world. Here in Hong Kong, I live in Hong Kong, but in the last years, in 2023 and 2024, I was most of the time in Shenzhen, in the city that is China. Hong Kong is a special administrative region of China. Okay. We depend on China on the military and in the foreign relations, but inside the immigration and the currency, everything, the rules, the company rules are different. In China, it's like the same. Like, of course, you have control. The government try to control everything, but people don't care. And again, here in Hong Kong, doesn't happen. Of course, you see that Chinese are coming. Hong Kong looks more Chinese now than it looked 10 years ago when I came to visit for first time. But I think I'm free. I'm talking about Bitcoin every day, so and nobody jails me. So
they're not going after you for being into Bitcoin.
I think that China has their own agenda, and again, I think that there is a huge. I'm not, as I said, I am not supporter of 100% of what happens in China, because, of course, I like freedom. I like to, of course, in China, Bitcoin is banned. In China, you have all these payment apps created by companies that are partners with the government and all the data stuff. But at the end of the day, and something that Deng Xiaoping used to say, no matter the color of the cat, the only thing that matters is if the cat chases rats or hunts rats. So what it means is, no matter the system, the only good thing is people live good, and people in China live really good. For example, Jack Muller said we cannot compete with China because in China there is cheap labor. Fake. There is no cheap labor in China. In China, the problem is that they produce in scale with factories working with robots, and they produce, for example, the electric vehicles in China, they produce one each 60 seconds. So imagine.
They know how to build stuff. In America, it's like, why can't we build stuff? And or if we get like a mile done, why does that cost $10 billion? Yeah, China knows how to get stuff done.
Yes, and to be honest, again, you go to China, and I don't feel that I am being spied. But again, people lives good. People is not, to be honest, it's not communist what is happening there. You go to Shenzhen and it looks like you're in Miami. All the Louis Vuitton shopping, people buying, Chanel. It's like, I remember I was one day in one part of Shenzhen and I took a picture, and a friend of mine said me, I was on Instagram, "Oh, did you go to Miami?" No, I am in China. So yeah, that's the thing. Of course, it's doing some things. For example, they introduced some kind of national security law in Hong Kong that has like gray areas, because you can get extradited to China initially. If you are judged you can be judged and go to jail in Hong Kong, not with the Chinese. But now there are some crimes like that needs to be judged in China, and you go to jail in China. Something about terrorism and all the thing. And you see when the government say terrorist, it's broad. It's not an Arabic guy who puts a bomb on a plane. Probably they can say, okay, you are broadcasting about Bitcoin, you're a terrorist. So, but again, it's like, I'm okay. I said, I didn't have any problems since I moved here. I've been in China a lot of time. I don't have problems. I am happy living here. And I don't think that the goal of China is to do whatever all the people think that they want to do. So I think
so if you got your permanent resident card, that would be good for China entirely?
No, it's going to be only for Hong Kong. No, my visa is Hong Kong.
Oh, okay.
Every time I go to China, I have a tourist visa. The difference, I think that when I become a PR, because the people who is from Hong Kong, they have another card. They have the Hong Kong ID, and they have like a China ID. So when they travel to China, they don't have to put the passport. They enter with this Chinese document, and they can stay in China for 1 year. I think that when I become a PR, I can go to China without passport. Okay. But I need to check. But it's not that I want to live. I will be able to live in China. I don't know what's going to happen after 2047, but this is another story.
And China plays, politically and economically, they play a long game. They look, far down the road. And so even as they've banned Bitcoin or done things against Bitcoin, and they're building up their gold reserves, setups, and their gold trade setups, and they're trying to, fight the other side of fiat with the dollar and the America's hegemony. So they're building up BRICS, say, and the gold trade stuff. But I feel like I can't help but think that quietly China must be in on Bitcoin somewhere. They can't be just totally ignoring it. You think they're saying up front, like, you can't do this, it's bad because we're doing gold, but behind the scenes, like, they look at what Bhutan is doing, going, why wouldn't we do this?
The point that's the good point, because China, the government, the China, what does is like, for example, there is private property in China. You can have your business that is owned by you, and the government just collect taxes from your shop. Nothing happened. But in sectors of the economy, for example, strategic sectors like energy, transportation, banking, and all this stuff, is all owned by the government. It's all owned by the state. I think that Chinese are not stupid. I think that sometimes, remember when there was they were buying Bitcoin, some mysterious people who were buying Bitcoin, like 900 Bitcoin per day or something like that. I said, probably it's China. Because in fact, it says that they hold around 200,000 Bitcoin. So probably, of course, they don't want Bitcoin to be controlled by the people because they know the freedom that Bitcoin gives, but they want to hold Bitcoin to position as a superpower. I don't know if you read the book Software.
Jason Lowry. I haven't read it. But it's technical, a master's thesis. But yeah, go ahead.
It talks about Bitcoin and as a strategic asset for cyber war, for the upcoming wars that is going to be in the cyberspace. The wars are not going to be anymore people killing each other on a battlefield. They are going to be on the cyberspace.
Yeah.
So I'm 100% sure that China has Bitcoin, that China has plans to buy Bitcoin. Now they are building their gold reserve, but who knows? Maybe in the future, they start doing the strategic Bitcoin reserve before America does. So
that's why I'm bullish as well, because it's one more reason why, like if Elon Musk just said Bitcoin, or if China was out and it's like, yep, China is accumulating Bitcoin, and there's that arms race almost of like an economic arms race to not be last or not be third, keep up with the hardest asset apparently we can zap around the planet. I think it could really kick off a crazy supply crash. I mean, a crunch. So it could take off crazy.
Of course.
I want to bring up your website. This is your YouTube site. So recently you've had people from Africa on there, and the Michael Saylor of the UK.
Yes.
A lot of up and coming countries. I've interviewed people from Nigeria and Nigerian women Bitcoiners. Anyway, Africa needs it, and you've been interviewing a lot of different people.
Yes.
I want to get people to your Crocsroad. You can go to crocsroad.co, and you have a newsletter. You can subscribe to the newsletter. You can also go to the merch shop, the best merch for Bitcoin maxis. So you got beautiful gear and swag there, artwork. You can get stuff there. And you can download an app. Tell me about this app.
Oh, basically the app is an app that you have for the you read the news on the app. So that's instead of having your website, you have the news on the app, basically.
So you can get your news and your prices and the newsletter.
Yes, and I think that we are going to integrate with some other models that we do. But yeah, this is the app. I think that only works in Android, not on Apple. But yes,
Google Play.
Yes, but it's like having the website in your phone. And We want to integrate more stuff, like some models that we run with the power law and some predictions we do with power law and analysis of some stocks. But it's a project that we stopped because it has not so much traction, but we will come back to that.
Cool. Yeah, and people want to wear the swag. I've had people like, you get the super maxis that are like, oh, well, you're projecting to people that you own Bitcoin, or like you become a target for people. You got to keep it cool and quiet and all this stuff. I'm like, you know what? No, I'm proud to be a Bitcoiner. I'm going to wear the swag, so I'm happy to show it off.
So, of course,
the hats, and then the newsletters. How often does this come out? It looks pretty prolific.
No, you have these are if you go down, we have one article per day. We have one article per day.
Oh, well, yeah.
And we have one email per day. So the newsletter is, for one side, you can go to the website and you have one article per day. And if you subscribe, it's totally free. It's one email per day. You receive with the 3 top news about Bitcoin, some in short, like probably 1-2 paragraph, and we have memes and all the things. So it's entertainment.
Awesome. You're churning out all kinds of amazing content, and I'm going to presume, was it in August they had a Hong Kong Bitcoin conference?
Yes. In August last time there was the Bitcoin conference in Hong Kong. In August this year, we are going to have another Bitcoin conference in Hong Kong. I hope they accept my proposal as a speaker, because I want to be speaking here. In fact, we are the biggest Bitcoin-only channel in Hong Kong. Bitcoin only, because you have a lot of shitcoining here.
Yeah.
But Bitcoin, real Bitcoin, we are the biggest and the true Bitcoiners. So
awesome.
That's why we want to speak on the Bitcoin Asia conference. So, but it's gonna be at the end of August.
Yeah, so it's usually in August, and it would be awesome to go. I've never been to Asia, and let alone, Hong Kong. I've heard about it. I've seen pictures and videos, and I'm like, oh, I would love to go someday. So
it's amazing. The conference, to be honest, is not. It's organized by the same people who organized the conference in America,
Bitcoin Magazine,
Abu Dhabi, and in Amsterdam.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The conference is not the best, but it's good to know about, to meet people. Last year, I met a lot of people that I interviewed in the podcast. I did a lot of networking, and yes, that's the. But it's gonna be at the end of the year.
Cool.
Sorry, at the end of August.
August.
Yes.
Yeah, towards the end of the year. But it seems like for us it's summertime and we're in the depths of winter, so it feels like a long ways away. But you can plan ahead. And
yes. Also, I will be speaking in May, at the 29th of May. I will be speaking in Bitcoin Treasuries and Conference in Bristol, United Kingdom. It's going to be organized by the Smarter Web company. So It's going to be a full day talking about Bitcoin Treasuries and corporate finance on Bitcoin. So I will be speaking there. If anyone who wants to go, if you use my code Bitcoin, they can get 10% discount of the tickets. And for sure, I will be speaking at the end of the year, yes, in Buenos Aires at La BitConf.
That's a big one too.
La BitConf is the oldest Bitcoin conference in the world. I will be speaking there for sure. I have a lot of plans because I have a good relationship with the organizers. I need to contact the people from Rumble, because I want to set up something similar what Rumble did in Lugano conference in Switzerland. They set up a live stage where there were podcasts during the conference. So yeah, I'm for sure I will be speaking at the BitConf, of course, in Spanish.
And That's this
No,
one here.
this is the one that is gonna be done now. That is in Mexico. In May, it's gonna be in Mexico, and at the end of the year, it's gonna be in Buenos Aires. Now, this is in Mexico.
Oh, okay, okay.
In Mexico, it's gonna be more about Bitcoin B2B, more than B2B.
B2B.
In Buenos Aires, it's much bigger. Of course, in La BitConf there are also other coins, so-called shit coins, but it is what it is. It's
Okay.
mostly Bitcoin only.
And what was the other one you mentioned coming up? You're going to be at
Smarter. Look for smarterweb.uk.
Malta.
Smarter, like smart. Smarter.
I know that one. I'll find it. But
smart.
Smarter.
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 W web space web. Just look for Smarter Web Company.
Oh, so they're going to have a conference.
Yes. Just go there. No, but I think that you need to go to the website. Yes, you see. If you go down, you're going to see the speakers. If you go down, you're going to see
Alexander, him, didn't you?
Alexander Borgia. And if you go down,
oh, they got a lot of speakers.
Yes, it's going to be
I
huge.
know some of these.
And you can see
there you are. Yeah,
that's me. So
Argentine Bitcoin maximalist, economist, entrepreneur.
Yeah,
Bitcoin libertarian.
So I will be speaking. It's gonna be my first time speaking on a Bitcoin conference in English. So it's gonna be good. So
awesome.
If anyone who wants to go there, it's a 10% discount with the Bitcoin code, and of course it's gonna be streamed on X for the ones who are not able to go to Bristol. So yes.
Okay, so promo code is what?
Bitcoin. Yes.
Promo code Bitcoin. You get a deal.
Yes. Otherwise, it's gonna be streamed on X for sure. On my X, it's gonna be streamed as well. So yes, I don't know what I'm gonna speak about, but yeah, I will be speaking.
You got time to think about it.
Yeah, well, I have time.
Well, Fernando, it's been awesome to have you. I really appreciate all the time you've lent me here. We've been just yakking away, and I think of so many things because you have a great background in history, and you're just so constantly putting out content, and it's positive and it's based, and I love it. Sweet Biddy was watching for a good long while here, and she just said, wanted to say hi. She's off to bed. It's nighttime here, so it's about lunchtime for you. So I want to get you to your lunch.
Yes, and I'm waiting because today need to come the guy from the fire, I don't know what, inspector. So it's coming at 3 p.m. And yeah, I need to do my usual Saturday task, like cleaning, tidying a little bit the apartment, and do more Bitcoin stuff.
Get ready for the inspector and then get back to Bitcoin. So
yes.
All right.
Thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure to be here.
It's been great having you. I really appreciate it. I loved it. It was a good conversation. So we'll catch you all next time. Bye, everybody.